Welcome in. This is Spiritual Mixtape. I'm Daisy Mack. You are perfect. And we are talking about the energy for the end of July, beginning of August. This is the week starting the 27th, finishing up the 3rd of August. And it has been such a month. It has been such a year. It's been such a while, 10 years, hasn't it? Everything has been heightened. Nothing stays the same. You're a butterfly. We are traversing timelines, changing history, changing who we are fundamentally. And it's terrifying and wonderful and alive. And I want to start this energy update this week by really looking back at what July has done for you. There is so much happening big. And this coming week, it's big too, that we won't understand this week or this month or even this year until we have a little distance and we can look back at it. But I do encourage you to find points this year where you can sit down and reflect. And what's crazy about what we're walking into is that this is not a period of reflection. We've just finished a Mercury retrograde. We're walking into Leo season. In theory, we should be taking the lessons of Mercury retrograde and bigging ourselves up as we walk into big, bold, brave, courageous, fun Leo who is hanging out with a full moon in Aquarius, which is also independent, social, sure of itself, confident. And it's not that you're not confident. It's not that you're not sure of yourself, but it is finally embodied. Finally, we have spent all month on this Pluto journey, and really for longer than that, thinking about what happened in Chiron and Aries about our identity that we're taking into Papa Saturn and turning fully embodied into part of our, not just our personality, but who we are in our soul, in our essence, not just for this lifetime, but for all the lifetimes that follow after. And I mean it to sound grandiose and crazy, and maybe people will switch off now. But for those that stay, for us that are resonating with one another, you know what I'm saying. You feel it too. You've changed. You've fundamentally changed. I'm going to stop talking about the caterpillar and the butterfly. I feel like I've done it to death, but it's so true. I still don't feel like a fire horse. I don't know about you. I definitely can feel like the thunder of the hooves around me, the fire horses with me. And I think that I'm running with them, but I'm unsure of what's happening right now. And that's okay, because you don't need to always be on. You can be carried. And the thing that I wanted to bring up, first of all, straight away, was this card. I love angel numbers. If you've been with me since the audio podcast version, you'll know that that's a thing. But this is the number 227, Befriend Fear. And if you read my written updates for the whole month, I've been talking about fear knocking on the door. It's come in the version of Venus with the South Node. It's come in interactions with Pluto. It's manifested in different ways for us to understand and become familiar with the fear that holds us back, to become excited to encounter fear, to get out of our comfort zones. But the thing that's really exciting about this card and why I talk about resonance is I put a retreat on sale for Costa Rica. There's 2 spots left. If anybody wants to join, I would love you to. And I was so fixated on doing it on the March equinox, and we couldn't get the dates to work. So I ended up taking a few weeks before, the 27th of February. And I felt a little sad that there wasn't some magic synchronicity happening with the dates other than being able to book all the houses and having the most perfect spot. Of course, there's tons of magic, but I always felt like I'm reading a frequency. There should be some pattern outside of me, and it wasn't there. And I just thought, never mind. But when I started to send the invoices out, I realized that the date was the February 27th, 2027. So when you would get rid of the 0 in 2027, you get repeating numbers 227, 227, which is befriending fear. You are stronger than your fears. That's what July should be teaching you. You are stronger than your fears. Fear is not an indication of success or failure. It just exists within you. Your angel's message is this: as you manifest your goals and dreams, consider where fear creeps in and limits you. It's not going anywhere, so it's time to make friends with fear. Reflect presently on how your fear could become your friend instead of your foe. The difference between what's happening with our community and what's happening out there in the world is that we are no longer operating from fear. Maybe a tiny bit here and there, but we're no longer operating from fear. So many of you have told me how you've left toxic relationships, bad jobs, you've started over in new cities, you have done things that your younger self would never have imagined because you were living by these limitations from fear, some of it yours and some of it others. Now, even if you're not coming to Costa Rica, the point is we all share a frequency. We are all resonant to each other. My message to you as we hit the second half of this year and we start to talk about the week that's coming, you are stronger than your fears. You know this, but do you believe it? Are you really proving it in your life? That's the embodiment piece of Pluto. And people are quite scared of this astrology that's coming in this week. Pluto is conjunct the full moon in Aquarius. And it's getting people really rattled, and it's getting them to miss the amazing astrology, the beautiful astrology. And I'm not trying to do a sleight of hand and make you look over there rather than paying attention to what's important over there. We have a negative bias as humans. It can be easier to default to where it's hard and to try and find the solution to the problem. We are not in a typical Leo season. Leo is in the South Node. This is the place that you're leaving behind. So Leo is an energy which is bold, bright, magnificent, vibrant, magnetic, wonderful. It's the Lion's Gate. You know, it's everything that you want to manifest. Instead, we have a Leo that is deeply reflective. It's coming off of a Saturn retrograde. It's coming off of Mercury retrograde. It's within the minor grand trine. It has a lot of energy to read and to pick up on. It's a little more humbled. I've seen people call it an ego death, and I think that that's fine. But I think for you and I here, we already had our ego death in Chiron and Aries. We've spent the last 8 to 10 years building ourselves back up. We're no longer in the Tower card. We are on the other side of that, even though, because trauma, this is the thing about it, you can be 10 years healed, but when you're triggered, you're right back in that place again, and it can feel like it just happened. And I can see a cardinal outside my window and a woodpecker. Amazing. So all of that to say, what has July taught you about your fears, the parts that you can embrace, the parts that you're working with? And as a sort of sub-story to that, although it's not a sub-story if it's really happening in your life right now, is Saturn and Aries, how you are changing things in your life to suit and to support your new identity, your authenticity. There is something that will happen this week amongst all of this sweet, rebellious, exciting energy that comes in that will give you a lot of clarity. And some of it might be achy. You might realize finally that you need to end a friendship, that certain people are not coming with you. And what you must understand about that, and we should go back to those Firehorse episodes from February, is that it's not about whether they are right or wrong or you're right or wrong. They're just not your people for this season. they are unable to be your fire horse. In part, maybe you're not able to be theirs. Either way, the energy of that keeps you small or keeps you contained. And you don't need to be contained. This full moon that's coming in is gorgeous. I love it. I think it's deeply personal. And I think it's a full moon though. You know, everyone gets a little werewolfy, a little bit crazy. It's very, very hot right now in the northern hemisphere. We can expect a little bit of turbulence, and it is sitting up against this Pluto conjunction. But one must remember that there's also a Jupiter Cazimi, and the energy of a Jupiter Cazimi is woohoo! It is the Love Island final. It is happiness and joy, and it's not just the Love Island final, it's you winning the Love Island final. I wish that I had other good little analogies for you there. World Cup, it's you winning the World Cup. It's such a positive energy that if you choose to tap into that, you will be the winner. It will be good for you. However, I advocate also for honoring your feelings. And if a chapter is really closing for you, allow yourself a tub of Haagen-Dazs and a big wallow. And I think you could be doing one thing, a big cry 1 minute, and the next you're jumping for joy because you've just got the most wonderful news. And that isn't some kind of schizophrenic, thing to worry about within yourself. There is so much happening right now. Sure, everything can change in a blink of an eye, and you don't have to stay in one thing or the other. But maybe what would be good is to find this week what is comfortable to become neutral in and to keep going back to that point. What is lovely about how this month ends and how this week forms is that we have a little pause for the whole weekend, and there are big energies working through, and I'm going to come to that, to what's happening in the near future, because it does hold this week. Because despite the good, right, like you're feeling all the good and you're like, yeah, but there's still something in the back of your mind, is because there are stories still wrapping up. Despite everybody saying that this is a 1 year and there are fire horses, this is also the year where Chiron wraps up in Aries. And if the last 8 to 10 years have really spelt for you huge change, it has for me. Left a career, my dad passed away, had a mastectomy, but completely changed how I saw myself. And also I physically completely changed. My body is physically so different. That story doesn't complete until April next year. So despite this being a 1 year, despite me finding fire horses, despite there being tons and tons of good, there is still a big story that I'm wrapping up that deserves as long an end as I have space to give it. So let's talk about what's coming in next week as well, that you'll feel. And it does come into the Chiron, because Chiron goes retrograde on the 3rd, which is, oh my gosh, let me just make sure. That's the Monday. Oh, correction. I know I've been saying on the pod today that this is until the 3rd, but it's not until the 2nd. Never mind. Chiron goes retrograde on the 3rd, and this is the beginning of Chiron walking back towards Aries. So you have started to understand this month what your wound of neglect means for you being out in the world and making money, and you owning your worth. This is a slow moving energy. So there will be sparks of understanding, growth, and healing that come up not just this week, but until April next year around this. And I actually wanted to bring up one of the comments I read on last week's episode. This one's from Mary Jane, and it says, much of what you've spoken about, I've experienced. After years of beating myself up for feeling unworthy, it just went away this past week. It's a really lovely comment. Thank you, Mary Jane, for leaving it. But I think that this is true of what is coming. In a blink of an eye, something's going to be healed, and letting it go is also important. I say this as someone who loves a grudge and loves to be right about the ways in which I haven't been taken care of. And again, like, I can't help but think here about everything I'm going through with my health insurance, which does feel like neglect, and being an adult and being less emotional in it, to simply just get it done, to simply move through the steps, to simply make decisions from a place that isn't so charged, but also knowing when I need to go into that feeling and rage about it. What's coming in August is beyond exciting. There has been multiple courses of energy, and of course with eclipses, which are full moons and new moons, but extra because they're sitting on the nodal axis, which is your journey with destiny and fate. But it's also coming alongside this thing called the Lion's Gate. The Lion's Gate is 3 different energies at work at once. It's 15 degrees of Leo. That's the actual gate. So that's the midpoint of Leo season. It's also the highest point in the sky of the star Sirius, our brightest star in the solar system, a time of abundance, a time of harvesting. It's also the 8-8 portal. 3 things happening at once in the midst of Leo season. It's so big and so important that every year I teach on it. So if you want to come to my daily breathworks, they're in the free community. I'd love you to be there. The Lion's Gate has been open. It's been open since the beginning of July. And even in your hardest moments over this month, you should still be feeling like you're on the right path, because you know that you have to keep stepping forward. You can't go back. That there was nothing for you there. That's the energy that it's been holding. And usually when you get to 8-8, it's something good cracks open. And what I wanted to share with you here was the Sabian symbol for the full moon in Aquarius. It's actually where I want to end the pod today. A Sabian symbol is for every degree point in the zodiac wheel, there is a symbol, and the degree point for this full moon is a child born out of an eggshell, a soul that has outgrown its environment and breaks through the shell of traditional survival. I said about the last moon that this was a period of honoring everything that you've survived. We won't get to be truly, truly reflective and have enough space to understand everything until we're into September. But as much as you can, find the points where you can see that you've outgrown the environment and that you've broken through, that you are the butterfly, and that you are in a moment of new spiritual identity, new ideas, new perhaps ways of creating a living. A lot of great is coming. Stay the course and let me know in the comments how good it's getting for you or where you still need support. We're all in this together. We're all going to end up in the same place, having a big old party together with all the trines, all the sextiles, all of the best planets, and none of the worry. But until we get there, we're in it all together, and we're going to hold each other's hands and keep each other accountable when we are feeling the fear and wanting to go backwards. I would be lying to you if I said that that doesn't happen to me and that I'm sure of it every day. I work hard every day to stay on my highest timeline, to not get sad and go backwards, or to not get angry and go backwards when things aren't working out how I didn't just hope for them, but how I worked for them to work out when life has other plans. Okay, definitely a more reflective episode today, but I love hanging out with you. Please hit me up in the comments. Please subscribe. Please come to the daily meditations. I am going to do my first YouTube live as well. I'm just figuring out the technicalities of that and learning a new system. But over the course of August, Spiritual Mixtape will be getting back into business, and definitely by October, we're back to full time. I am really grateful that you've all stuck by me as I've figured this all out, still figuring it out. And I just want to say thank you again. Bye.